Time. Time is the ongoing sequence of events taking place, guided by a 24-hour clock. Hi, this is Clarity Coach Lucy, and this is Tuesday Talks at 3. Welcome to episode 2 of the Leading Self series. Now, this is a 4-part series, and we'll be covering words that inspire you. We'll be covering simple steps of how to get the most out of your day. We'll be covering tips for success. And lastly, we'll be covering goals checklist or goals setting and the checklist. In our last episode, we covered action words, or we covered verbs that when applied help you to get inspired and get out of this rut that you find yourself in. You're not alone. This happens to the best of us. When we get stuck in a rut, we try to figure out ways how to come out. Now, most of the cases, we become frustrated. Now, you know what happens when you're frustrated. You cannot think straight, or you cannot apply yourself. You are so clouded by this emotion that there's no clarity at all. And this is what happens. However, the tips that I gave you in our last episode were action verbs that allowed you to be able to shift your perspective so that while you are in that space, you can get inspired. I do hope that you were able to try out some of them and even come up with your own words that have inspired you to get out of that rut. Now, today's episode seeks to simplify the process of our day. And why the process of our day? We all have the 24 hours, like I said, in the definition of time. But then some people seem to have more time than we do. Well, that is a myth. We all have 24 hours, and today's session seeks to help us process our day. A skill that can be daunting. It actually can be very daunting for many reasons. And in my case, procrastination. I'm sure I speak for many of us. But let's face it, time is probably our greatest resource. When you think about time and you think about that 24-hour clock, you think that you have time. But in a compounding effect, this time builds into a day, it builds into a week, it builds into a month, and slowly it builds into a quarter, and then finally a year. So if we just bring it into perspectives of the season that we are in, which is the beginning of the year, and where we are looking at New Year's resolutions, we're looking at new beginnings. Yes, it is because it is the calendar, and we are looking at how we can improve ourselves. Maybe there were things we discovered about ourselves, in the past year, and now we want to do them differently. So we've lined up some actions, and we are ready to hit them. I actually heard a fellow coach making a comment that she's not being able to go to the gym now because it's packed up with people who have New Year's resolutions. Are you one of those people? Are you already packing up the gyms, the proverbial gyms? In other words, have you hit the road running with actions that you have set up yourself to do? Well, then you're not alone. So you do know you've got 24 hours in the day. How much of time do you give to that particular action that you're working on? You then realize that you don't have enough time. In fact, you question, how do these people do it? How do they get to pack in so much in a day? Wow. Well, you want to stay till the end because I've got tips for you. Because time passes quickly, and these 30 minutes are also going to whiz by. But you're here, and you've made a choice to be here. So make the most of your 30 minutes when you're here. We cannot get any more of time, neither can we slow down time. Wouldn't we just love to slow down time? Especially when we're having a good time. When you're having a good time, I tell you, time just whizzes past. And you're like, is that the time already? What happened? Where did it go? Mine is deeper than that. I have 2 children that I love absolutely. And they're the best thing that ever happened in my life. But I look at them and I ask myself, where did the time go? They're all grown up. It was just yesterday that they were babies. And therefore I say to you, your 24 hours, that 1 hour becomes a day, becomes a week, becomes a month, becomes a quarter, becomes a year. And you will be asking yourself, what have I achieved? So in being able to manage your day, you're already setting yourself up for success, setting up yourself for opportunities, for execution. So it is fair to say that what we can do is make the most of the time that we have. And that is something that we must do. So I am a recovering procrastinator. Yes, you heard me right. I am a recovering procrastinator. And today I am sharing these tips. There will be 7 to be precise, that have helped me on my daily journey of recovery to get the most out of my day. And I do hope that at the end of our time, our limited time, I beg your pardon, you will have found something that you can work with. And maybe you will have added your own. Well, let's jump right into it. The first one is plan. Planning has worked so well for me. In fact, to the point where people call me Lucy the Planner. I plan my things. At times I plan to plan. I even plan the plan. And it can get very dangerous. You see, I have a side to me that cannot work unless I have a list. But this list has worked for me. So whether I am planning the night before, whether I am planning the week before, whether I'm planning the month before, I plan. I have come to realize that this has helped me get things done. I put down things according to what I need to get done. But this suggests that I must have a purpose and a vision. Do you have a purpose? Do you have a vision? Do you have an objective? Something has to drive you. Have you decided where you're going and then applied a plan to that particular vision? Think of it that way. In whatever it is that you do, there is a plan, whether you know it consciously or subconsciously, whatever it is. So if you were going to move from here to, for instance, if you've got children, they're going back to school. And therefore you already have a plan of how you're paying for their fees, you're paying for their upkeep, you're getting their school books, or you're getting their uniforms. Hey, it's a plan and it needs to get done. So have a plan. Make sure that you're working intentionally on this plan. Now, I plan way in advance, but let's just take it in the 24 hours and about planning the night before. I remember as my children were growing up, I had to plan literally like the night before so that I could assure that tomorrow is a seamless morning. One of the things that I did was to lay out their uniform. That is when I realized what was missing a button, what needed to be cleaned better, what needed to be ironed, what sock did not have its pair. You then realize that when you plan the night before, you're already thinking about your tomorrow. In that particular section of my day was handled. How does that work for you? For me, it builds into the bigger picture. That means I have built into my day the next day, there will be peace, there will be calm, because things will be happening. And if anything was to happen that would go out of plan, then I'm able to handle it because I already know what needs to get done and I reorganize. That planning is amazing. It builds into a bigger picture, guys. So what is your bigger picture? Let me give you an idea. Maybe your New Year's resolution is for you to plan to go back to school. Maybe that is your New Year's resolution. You then have to make a plan that works into your day, into your week, into your month. Certain things need to shift. Maybe your studying is going to take up your Saturdays and Sundays because your Monday to Friday is already scheduled for something else. So your main big picture is that you're going back to school, you're studying. The planning needs to happen now so that that studying and the execution of your learning and reaching the end is achieved. It's a state of preparedness and it helps you to respond to opportunities. I love that statement. You see, if you are planned, if something was to jump out, for instance, I am a coach and I get my phone buzzing and somebody saying, Lucy, I would like to have a conversation on a one-to-one coaching. Now, if I do not have a rate card ready, if I don't have a game plan ready, if I don't have a schedule ready, shall we say the schedule perhaps is a booking portal, if I don't have that ready, or I don't have a payment portal ready, how then do I respond to this individual? I will respond to this individual in a haphazard way, which I cannot honor myself in, because I am a coach. I need to be ready for those opportunities. So what are you, and what kind of planning do you need to be ready for when that opportunity knocks? Remember, it is said that opportunity knocks once. Therefore, you have to be on the other side of the door, ready to open up and make use of this opportunity. You will only have yourself to blame. So plan, plan, plan. The tips that I have is by keeping a clean and clutter-free environment, it allows you to create. Now, I must be honest with you. If I was to turn the camera and you were to see what my desk looks like, it's a total mess today. The thing is, am I aware that it's a total mess? Am I aware that something needs to be done about it? Or is this the way I exist every day? Your self-awareness is important. So I am aware something needs to be done. So definitely when I'm done with this episode today, I will be cleaning up my near environment, my surrounding environment. Now, clean and clutter-free environment means the naysayers, the negative people, all that toxic environment that you could be putting yourself in, you need to handle it, whatever it is. Whether you are lefting the group, wow, that became a new connotation. Whether you are lefting the group or whether you are asking people to leave, you're letting go of certain situations. That is part of planning. So you take a moment today and look around your environment, whatever your environment is, and make sure that it is clean and clutter-free. That is a tip. Because if you are in chaos, when opportunity knocks, that is how you're going to respond, chaotically. If you are in order, everything is arranged well, when opportunity knocks, that is what you're going to manifest, order. Moving on to number 2, prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. We just talked about creating lists. Now I'm saying take that list and prioritize items. And what I'm going to say may be something that is very controversial for you and you may not be happy to do it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Ensure that as you put down your list, the hardest job or the hardest task is at the top. It needs to be there. We have a nature and the temptation rather to do the easier jobs first, get them done, get them out of the way so that we can then get to the hardest job. Well, what I have personally learned is whenever I have done that, I have tapped my energy out, my energy of creativity, of innovation, my energy of patience. This is a hard task, but it needs to get done. And for the longest time, it was numbers that were that were not my friend. Let me say that. So every time I had to sit down and do a budget, every time I had to sit down and go through the numbers again, like we say in our colloquial here in Nairobi, it was not mathing. And the reason it was not mathing, that I was not getting a balance, is simply because I had tapped myself out of my energy, of being present for this hard task. So what did I do? I took this hard task, put it as number 1, but I broke it down. I broke it down into menial tasks. And you know what? Just doing each and every task gave me a feeling of accomplishment and motivated me to move on. And this is what I'm saying to you. Prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. There's a good feeling that comes out at the end of it. Remember, put the hardest task on top. Break it down so that it is in bite-sized chunks. so that you can be able to do something and see that you have managed to achieve. When we have success in something that is new, something that is novel, something that you have never tried before, something that is so hard, I tell you, it's a shot in the arm. It gives you adrenaline, and that's what you need. Now imagine with this kind of adrenaline, you are pumping, and now you go to the easier tasks. Oh, you have made very good use of your day. So choose actions that give you progress. Actions that when you do today will impact your future. It is very important for you to do that. Number 3, stick to your list. We are still on the list. Why am I saying stick to your list? I want you to be present. When you're present to your list, it means that whatever you do, you're immersing yourself in it. So what have I done over time? I used to just wake up and go straight to my phone and look at messages. Well, you know what happens when you just go straight to your phone, or when you're about to fall asleep and you pick up your phone or your iPad and you start looking at messages or looking at games or looking at movies, watching movies. What happens? Time goes by so fast and you're not making very good use of your time. So why don't you time yourself? This is what I did. I flipped it. So when I wake up in the morning, I say to myself 30 minutes tops to look at my messages, which are going to actually either manifest in my action plan for today. It's going to help me execute, because some of those messages are the ones that are feeding my daily actions, or it's going to join a to-do list for tomorrow. Because remember, tonight, you've got to create your to-do list for tomorrow. I hope we are together and that you are able to understand timing yourself, allocating time, sticking to your list is important. After that, I look at emails and I give myself a specific number of minutes to look at my emails. Immediately then, my phone is upside down and on silent. Distractions are out of the way. My laptop, I do not go back to my emails. I now go onto my action list. Do you know what I've just done? I have managed my distractions. Now, if you look around at least I can lift this one. I have all my beverages with me. I have anything that I need to snack on right here with me. And my to-do list is next to me. So as I am working, I've got my to-do list. If I need to take a drink of water or a cup of tea, I have my flask here. I'm able to take care of that need here now. I don't need to leave this space. And because of that, I also shut the door. You're unable to see here to the left, but I have a door that leads to the rest of the house. I shut it. I'm shutting out distractions. What distractions do you need to shut out in your life so that you can move forward? I put my phone upside down. I do not go back to my emails until a specific time of the day, and I have my beverages with me. These are tips that have worked for me to make the most of my day. So when I'm sat here, I get the work done. Number 4 is the D's. Now the D's took a hard and long thinking of me. It was not easy. These 4 D's, I am encouraging you to embrace them. The first D is do it. Do it now. Remember I said to you, prioritize the hard one, break it down into chunks and do it. That feeling is great. But then there were days when I got overwhelmed and I was not able to do it. So for some strange reason, I realized that I had items on my to-do list that had no business being there. So I had 2 options. I could either delegate those items. First, I had to verify that they were important to the bigger picture. Or I had to dump them. Dumping was hard because I've got attachment issues. I find it really hard to dump something that I have said I'm going to do. But at times I was saying things like, I'm going to do this for the wrong reasons. What are your wrong reasons? Is it because you see that Lucy is here live for 30 minutes that you feel that you can do it, so you put it down on your list? You don't know what it took Lucy to be here. Therefore, you need to go progressively, but you want to do it overnight. That has no business being on your list today. Maybe it is something that somebody said to you, and before you even do your due diligence, you put it onto your action list. Just go back to your list if it does exist and remove or dump. That is the third D. I want you to think about these tips when you think of the 3 Ds of do it, delegate it, or dump it. When you're delegating, it is something that yes, you can do, but somebody else can do on your behalf. You may be a sole entrepreneur and you wonder, so when do I get to delegate, Lucy? Well, think about around you, the things that need to get done. Can somebody else do it? If you're working from home like me, there's meal prepping that can be done by somebody else. There's cleaning of a room that can be done by somebody else. There's answering the door that can be done by somebody else. There's a lot of things that you can delegate. You just need to be creative about it. I want you to think of a conveyor belt. A conveyor belt is a production line. And in a production line, the objective is that it starts here and it ends. There's always a start and an end. So where are you at on this conveyor belt? Are you ensuring that you're going to finish it? So you either do it, you delegate it, or you dump it, but at the end of the day, you only have 24 hours. It's coming to an end. On a conveyor belt, you have the opportunity to check, to rectify, to change. You have the opportunity to pull out certain things and replace. Whatever it is, keep it moving, guys. Keep it moving. The 5th one is don't procrastinate. Did I say that I was a recovering procrastinator? Well, procrastination is the effect, not the cause. I'll say that again. Procrastination is the effect, not the cause. I identified that my cause was perfectionism. How? Because I always wanted to have my ducks in a row before I got something done. Before, coming on to this session like this episode would have been the hardest thing for me because I would have thought of many things, which I did. And for those of you who have journeyed with me over the last 3 years, you know what those things were. I mean, now they're non-issues, but that time, they were the things that stopped me from getting my list done, and my list was going virtual. And one of them was, what would my glasses look like? What would my wrinkles look like? How would my teeth appear? Because I do have crooked teeth. I don't have sterling whites. How would my gray hair appear? Those are non-issues. I was procrastinating out of self-doubt. So self-doubt was the cause, and therefore I was manifesting it through procrastination. So what is your effect and your cause? Because remember, procrastination is the effect. What kind of procrastination do you have? Have you figured out your cause? Because you need to figure out your cause. Procrastination really is the thief of time. It is so easy to put things off until another time. I encourage you to do it now. So my tips are, look at your list. Whatever you've put there, remember the hardest one is at the top. Keep your promise. Tick it off. Get it done. Seek help where needed. You may need a coach like me. All you need to do is direct message me on my IG and we can get our conversation going. Number 3, concentrate on the possibilities of tomorrow. What do you need to do today to impact your tomorrow? And then me time. Me time is number 5. I love my me time. It has been misconstrued that me time is just you, yourself alone. You can also incorporate socializing, and that is a tip that I give you. So I have made new friends, I have joined new associations, I have joined new learning groups, I beg your pardon, and I have been inspired. But what is my me time? My me time is my walking time. That is when I internalize things, I download things. That is when I say my prayer. That is when I enjoy the natural environment that I am in. And it has inspired me. That way then I am ready to go back to my to-do list. And then we have checking in. We must always check in with our to-do list. Keep asking yourself, how does this make me feel? Is it aligned to who I am? Keep asking yourself, am I on track? Keep asking yourself, how does this serve me? Knowing your why, and this is my tip, will help you stay true and authentic to yourself and do things that you can honor yourself by, things that you can be proud of. And there you have it. Those are my 7 tips. I know time goes by so fast. I told you we are governed by the 24-hour clock. I hope that with these 7 tips, you can get more out of your day. And maybe you figured out more. You can add on to, please direct message me and share some of these tips that you have. So remember to be present to your action list. Remember to prioritize, to prioritize your action list, making sure the hardest one are the top, because that feeling of achievement is second to none. Well, our 3 takeaways as we come to an end is plan. Ensure that you plan. Plan, and stick to your plan. Don't procrastinate is the second takeaway. And if you know what the cause is, work on the cause. In my case, I don't need to have all the ducks in a row. I just need to start now. But my disclaimer is, I am a recovering procrastinator. The third one is check in. Check in and ensure that you are on the right track, that it resonates with you, whatever it is that you are doing. Well, the recording of this episode will be available on our YouTube channel by this evening. And when you are there, remember to hit the 2 buttons, subscribe and notification, so that you can receive updates and the latest recordings. Now, the 2023 January cohort personal planning is sold out. In fact, we're going into our lesson 2. However, you have not been left behind. The second cohort, February, is already on my social media platforms. Go in there, click and register yourself. You owe this to yourself. We are already still in that season of looking at New Year's resolutions. What is it that you're going to do differently this year? Sign yourself up. In the meantime, remember to like our Facebook and follow us on IG to receive regular updates. And thank you to those of you who have followed me on TikTok as Clarity Coach Lucy. That is how you can find me. Thank you for motivating me. Those were one of the things where my procrastination was really awake. But I am on TikTok and I am working every day to make it better. Visit our website www.lmcconsultancy.com for even more updates that we have there. Let us help build one another. Our next episode is Tips for Success in this Leading Self January series. Until then, be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye now.